Have you ever noticed how certain we feel when we think we're right? There's a kind of power in it. Our voice gets stronger, our body stiffens, we argue with more force, and inside, there's a sense of victory before the conversation even ends. But what if that certainty, that absolute confidence in being right, is exactly what blinds us? What if the moment you believe you are right, you are already wrong? This might sound strange at first. After all, aren't we supposed to stand up for what we believe in? Aren't we taught from a young age to have convictions, to defend them, to prove others wrong? Society celebrates people who fight for their beliefs. But here's the paradox. The stronger the belief, the narrower the mind becomes. When we cling to the idea that I am right and you are wrong, we stop listening. We stop seeing. We stop learning. And in that very moment, truth escapes us. Think about an argument you've had recently. Maybe with a friend, a partner, or a coworker. While you were trying to prove your point, were you actually listening to what they were saying? Or were you simply waiting for your turn to respond, armed with your own evidence? If you're honest, you'll probably realize you weren't really listening at all. You were defending. You were protecting an image of yourself, the image of someone who cannot be wrong. And that defense, Krishnamurti would say, is the seed of conflict. When you believe you are right, the mind closes like a fist. A closed mind cannot see what is true. It only sees what it already knows. And what it already knows is not truth. It is memory, experience, conditioning. Imagine carrying a glass of water filled to the top. If you keep it full, nothing new can enter. But if you empty it, even for a moment, then something fresh can be poured in. Our mind works the same way. As long as it is filled with certainty, it cannot discover anything new. Krishnamurti often pointed out that truth is a living thing. It is not something you can capture in words or ideas. The moment you say, "I know," you've already lost it. Because truth is not fixed. It's not a possession. It moves, it breathes, it changes as life changes. To believe that you are right is to freeze life into an image, and life cannot be frozen. Let's make this real. Imagine two neighbors arguing over a fence. One says, "The fence is on my property line." The other insists, "No, it's on mine." Both believe they are right. Their voices rise, their tempers flare. Soon, lawyers get involved. Money is wasted, friendships are destroyed, and what started as a small disagreement becomes a war. Why? Because both clung to the idea of being right. Neither stopped to actually look together, to step back and ask, what is true here? This doesn't just happen with fences. It happens in relationships, in politics, in religion, even in how we see ourselves. I am right, you are wrong. My belief is true, yours is false. My way of life is correct, yours is misguided. Every war, every act of violence, every division among people begins with this mentality. And it's the same mentality we carry into our daily conversations, often without noticing. So what happens when you let go of the need to be right? Something remarkable. Suddenly there is space. Space to listen. Space to understand. Space to see things as they are, not as you want them to be. The mind becomes like a still lake, reflecting everything clearly. In that stillness you discover truth. Not your truth or my truth, but truth itself. But letting go of being right isn't easy. Our entire education trains us to accumulate knowledge, to pass exams, to argue better, to win debates. We live in a culture where being wrong feels like weakness, like failure. So we build walls of certainty around us. But those walls also imprison us. We may feel safe inside them, but we are cut off from the vastness of life. Krishnamurti once said that the ability to observe without judgment is the highest form of intelligence. And judgment always comes from the belief that I am right. When you look at someone and immediately think, they are wrong, they don't understand, you are not observing. You are projecting. You are seeing them through the filter of your own belief. To truly observe, you must be free of that filter. You must be empty, open, vulnerable. Ask yourself, can you look at a tree without calling it oak or maple? Can you listen to a friend without comparing their words to what you already know? Can you look at yourself in the mirror without labeling yourself as good or bad, successful or failing? That openness is where truth lives. And in that openness, the question of being right or wrong simply disappears. Because in reality, truth does not belong to anyone. It cannot be captured by your opinion or mine. The moment you say, "I have found the truth," you are already living in illusion. Truth can only be discovered moment to moment, in freedom, in silence, in humility. And humility means never clinging to being right. So next time you feel the rush of certainty, the fire of righteousness rising in your chest, pause, notice it. Ask yourself, am I seeing what is real, or am I defending an image of myself? In that pause, something extraordinary can happen. You may discover that being free is far more important than being right. And in that freedom, there is peace. And maybe that's the real challenge of life, not collecting more beliefs, not strengthening our sense of certainty, but learning how to live without needing to be right. Think about it. When was the last time you truly admitted you were wrong? Not as an apology just to calm someone down, but deeply, honestly, from the heart. It's rare, isn't it? Because to admit you were wrong feels like losing a piece of yourself. But what if admitting you don't know is actually the beginning of wisdom? Krishnamurti used to say that the word "know" is very dangerous. The moment we say "I know," our mind stops exploring. It becomes lazy. It thinks it has reached the end. But in reality, life is endless. There is no end to learning, no final destination where you can declare, "I have arrived, I am right forever." Life keeps moving, and the person who clings to being right is left behind. Look at children for a moment. They are curious, always asking questions, always touching, tasting, exploring. They don't care about being right. They only care about discovering. That's why their minds are fresh, alive. But as we grow older, we lose that freshness. We want to appear knowledgeable, respectable, in control. We want others to see us as people who know. And so little by little, we kill curiosity. We replace discovery with certainty. We trade truth for the comfort of being right. Now, imagine a different way of living. Imagine walking into every conversation, not with the goal of proving yourself, but with the openness to see something new. Imagine listening without the weight of judgment, without the need to defend. Imagine letting life teach you, moment by moment. Wouldn't that be freedom? Wouldn't that be a life without conflict? But you might ask, if I never believe I'm right, won't I be weak? Won't people walk all over me? It's a fair question. But notice, letting go of being right does not mean you accept lies or injustice. It means you are not trapped by your own arrogance. It means you can look at a situation clearly, without the fog of ego. And when you see clearly, your actions are far more powerful than any argument. For example, if you see a child about to run into the street, you don't stop to argue whether you're right or wrong. You act. That action comes from clarity, not from belief. And that clarity is only possible when the mind is quiet, when it is not busy defending itself. The person who insists on being right may shout, may argue, may fight. But the person who sees clearly can act with precision, with compassion, without conflict. The truth is, when you let go of the need to be right, you gain something far more valuable. You gain understanding. You begin to understand people, not just their words, but their fears, their pain, their conditioning. You begin to understand yourself, not as an image of someone who must always be correct, but as a living, changing human being. And understanding brings closeness. It brings connection. It brings love. Without this understanding, relationships break apart. Two people may love each other deeply, but if both insist on being right, their love turns into bitterness. Every argument becomes a battlefield. Every disagreement becomes a wound. But if one person, just one, can step back and say, maybe I don't know, maybe I need to listen, then something shifts. The wall between them cracks. And in that crack, love flows again. This is why Krishnamurti always reminded us that truth is not found in opinions, in beliefs, in arguments. Truth is found in silence, in observation, in humility. To live without the burden of being right is to live with lightness, with openness. And in that openness, every moment becomes a teacher. Every encounter becomes a mirror. Life itself becomes the book you are reading, fresh on every page. So, I ask you, what would your life look like if you no longer cared about being right? How would your conversations change? How would your relationships transform? How would you feel inside yourself? Lighter, freer, more alive. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need more people who are right. It needs people who are awake. It needs people who can see clearly, who can listen deeply, who can love without conditions. And that is only possible when the mind is free from the prison of certainty. The next time you feel the urge to win an argument, pause. The next time you feel the thrill of being right, stop. Ask yourself, is this truth, or is this just me trying to protect my ego? In that question, you may discover something far more valuable than being right. You may discover freedom, and in that freedom, you will find peace, not only with others, but within yourself. So remember this, when you believe you are right, you are already wrong. Because truth does not belong to you or to me, it belongs to no one. It is there waiting to be seen if only we have the courage to let go of our certainty. And in that letting go, life opens its doors, wide and limitless. That is the beauty of not being right. When you let go of being right, you open yourself to truth, to love, and to freedom. In that humility, life becomes a mirror, showing you not who you think you are, but who you truly are.